Thank you, on behalf of all of us. I'm not going to ask you very many questions because I'm sure that everybody here has many questions of their own. But I am going to start with something you said at the very end, which is that you used the phrase, the spaciousness of the mind. Can you tell us a little more? Because in the book you talk about it very clearly, about the idea of spaciousness as being the opposite of overthinking.
I think that the spaciousness is, for example, when we are very much stuck with a concept, certain concept of happiness, we have very strong idea of what is happiness, and happiness existing inherently, very rarely existing, then I think that it automatically, in a way, it limits you. It limits you. For example, let's say you are, going for a nice, let's say that you are going on a nice walk in the garden. We have Kensington Garden, Hyde Park, and it rains suddenly. It rains suddenly, and then then you feel very upset because you had an idea of a happy day as a very sunny and nice stroll in the garden. Suddenly it rained, it ruined your day of happiness. So then you have a two choice at that time. One is that, yes, I'm very unhappy, very unupset. Or you can have an understanding that if it rains, that I am happy, is also very much my conceptual of my mind. Let's imagine that a tourist and a farmer is side by side. The tourist is so unhappy that it is raining. Farmer is so happy that it is raining. So, and why is it said that it is raining is bad? After all, we human beings are born waterproof. Water doesn't go in. So do I really need to make a big fuss? So so when you think like that, and then when you understand it like that, you actually don't mind. So that is I think the reason why more understanding you have of how conceptual and conditional, like a reflection in a mirror, more you know right and wrong to set in from relative point of view, situational point of view, right and wrong is there. But generally you are not that fanatic. For example, if I may just relate one story, simple stories. I do not know whether this is true. Maybe somebody now we are in London, they can tell me whether it's true or not, is that I heard it's a joke in the Tibetan community that British leader expedition to the Tibet, in the early days of Indians. And then and the Tibetans, there was a prophecy that, in Tibet, there's some foreigners will come to the country, and then, that there are a lot of changes, cultural changes and all of that. So when they saw the British for the first time, they were very scared because they always thought everybody had a black hair, like us, a black hair, black eye. So when they saw yellow hair, they were very, and green eyes, they were very kind of, culture shock and very upset. So in the Tibetan tradition is a culture that prayer that whenever we want to chase away something negative, we usually clap, drive away. So it is said that all the Tibetans in the village stood up in the line and began clapping, and to chase away. And the British soldiers felt so happy, I'm being welcomed, wow, the Tibetans so welcoming expeditionary force, So depending on the culturally has created a different concept. One where clapping is to rid away, and one is to welcome. And depending on that concept, what is right and wrong, what is happy, emotion that followed, that follows. So if you have understanding that, that is why I think, that even though I come from a Himalayan culture, when you guys clap, I appreciate it. I know you are not driving me away.
We don't frighten you when we clap.
No, definitely not.
Good. So really what you're saying is that we must always be conscious of being connected to everything else in the world about us in order to hang on to an idea of satisfaction and contentment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that everything in this, experience of happy, sadness, it is very much a conditional and a relative thing. So I think we should pursue it. What is happiness to me? It means important to me. But we should all at the same time remember it is a conditional thing. Tomorrow I myself might change my idea what is my happiness. So should I be that fanatic that when my happiness doesn't come, I will kill myself? Should I be that fanatic for something that is conditional?
I was very struck by an idea in your book of there being 3 doors, and we can lead ourselves into something wonderful or into something negative in our thoughts and our words and our actions, depending on how we go through the door. I find that a very useful and clear idea.
So this idea, that is the reason why in every Tibetan or Himalayan prayer books, Vajrayana prayer books, whenever we seek a blessing, we always say, please bless my body, speech and the mind. Because we know that if we are going to affect our life and our others and our interactions, we are going to affect through our body, our actions, from our speech. We might say something that is very hurtful to others, or something that gives them a joy, or and both of these, the body and the speech, is driven by the mind. So these 3 are, we call, the doorway into whether you want a positive life, positively interact with others, or positively interact, negatively interact. And by training especially the mind, which is the key, by being meditation, compassion meditation, whatever, you are, automatically changing how we change how we affect, others. And one thing about the mind is that it is something that is very much, our personalities are basically our habit.
Yes.
Personality is basically our habit. And our habits are created by what we do usually. Be it a meditation, be it a prayer, it creates a habit. That habit becomes our personality. It can go in negative also.
Yes, so if we allow ourselves to go through the negative door,
yes,
then we become that negative thing.
Yes.
That's a very useful idea too, isn't it? That you can change yourself through your practice, either for the good or for the worse.
Yes, definitely.
You talk as well about His Holiness introducing you to the idea of daring, which I suppose you talk about daring, or he talks about daring, but I think for us we would talk about courage and being brave. Can you speak about that a little?
Daring.
Yes, because it seems to me a very important idea in the book.
I think I remember also in the book saying that we should be intention driven, not result driven. So these are very much connected. Mm-hmm. So intention driven is, for example, when we are trying to, for example, as a Buddhist organization, let's say, of course, as a Buddhist organization, whatever we do, we definitely will want it to be effective, want it to be done well, so that it benefits as much as possible. But most important, whether it is in a Buddhist organization, whether it is in a sense of trying to make others happy in our life, trying to cure others of sadness and all of that, what is most important is that when we look into ourselves, that we did our best. We did it sincerely. We did it in a way that, with a good motivation, to truly out of sincere motivation. But at the same time, I think none of us should ever forget that outcome is dependent on so many factors, and many of these factors are beyond ourselves. So if we are outcome driven, especially a Buddhist to be outcome driven, is, I think that is something. If Buddhism, to be a Buddhist action has to be only outcome driven, not intention driven. Then even Buddha Shakyamuni is a failure, I would say. Because Buddha Shakyamuni, what is his outcome he desired? That all of us become Buddha. We are not Buddha. But his intention-wise, he did very sincerely, he put a lot of effort, he's practiced generosity. So in the end, result is he became Buddha. So that is, I think, that in our relationship, because if you are, that is how I think we can become daring. By understanding the outcome is not all, we can affect it to a certain extent, but it is not only we, but outcome is result of many people affecting it. So you cannot control the outcome. So you have to. For example, when some people are in depression, or pain, a lot of pain, you as a person in life, in their life, have to do your best sincerely within your own circumstance to be there for them, to love them, to support them. But if you are so much driven by I must make them right, I must make him or her back the way it was, and that is if that is it, that idea fixates you too much. After some time, when you are not successful in doing that, you will feel a sense of tiredness, sense of giving up, sense of helplessness, sense of lack of self-worth, which I think is not logical, it's not right.
You start at the very beginning of the book, almost the first thing you say is you have three things that you say very clearly, and the very first thing you say is that nobody else, if I'm going to quote you exactly, no being or thing can completely take away your suffering. The only person who can do that is you.
Yes.
So, I have read in other Buddhist writings that our essential condition is one of suffering, and sometimes I have found that very confusing. And I found your book very helpful in that sense of being able to focus on oneself and, if you like, to help oneself through one's actions.
Because I think that since everything is conditional, right? For example, I was telling you about, we suffering because it's raining. So in that, when we suffer because it's raining, or farmer is happy because it is raining, there are many conditions. Outer conditions of raining, it is same. But the fact that a tourist is upset and the farmers, it's his internal conditioning. So when you change that internal conditioning, how you are affected by the external effect will be minimized, or will be, depending on your inner understanding, it will be, have no influence over you.
You say somewhere in the book that the most important meditation is the meditation of gratitude. And I think what you're saying now is to do with that. It's a sense of being glad for whatever the circumstances are, because it's going to be good, pretty much going to be good for somebody somewhere.
Yes.
Is that why it's the most important one?
I think it is the most important, yes, that is correct. And also, it is the sense of gratitude, in another word, a sense of appreciation, that creates a sense of satisfaction.
Can you say a little more? I don't entirely understand.
Okay.
So.
As I was saying in the appreciation meditation, that gratitude and appreciation creates a feeling of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful that I have a wonderful family, or that I have a great health, or I'm in a beautiful city of London. So when you have this sense of gratitude, it creates a feeling of satisfaction. And from my understanding, satisfaction is happiness, and dissatisfaction is unhappiness. So that is also one of the other reasons.
I think at this point I'm going to I think I've spoken enough, and I'm sure that there are lots of people here who would like to ask you things. So we have a microphone. Is there anybody who would like to ask a question? The gentleman here.
Is this working? Yeah. Thank you very much for your talk. It was very, very interesting, very rewarding. Thank you so much. I have a question, because I have a slight quandary. It seems that when our lives are going quite well, it's very easy to do our meditation, to do our yoga or our tai chi. And when our lives get very stressed and we're very unhappy, we find less room, less space to do the very things we need to do. And that's an experience I've had just recently, to the point that I've hardly done any meditation when I should be doing, that's the very thing I should have been doing. Do you have any advice as to how to get out of this cycle of worry and stress and concern, to get into the things that are going to benefit us and those around us?
Well, I agree with you that it is much easier to do meditation when you are in a good circumstances. But I'm not exactly, sure whether I can agree that if during your good times you do meditation, then I think we will probably be able to handle the bad times automatically by the force of meditation that we did, if we did it enough during the time of when you're having great times. For example, there's a saying that the time to train yourself not to get affected by criticism is not when you are being criticized, but when you are being complimented. When people are saying how great you are, how beautiful you are, there's the time to be careful. There's the time you should not let it go into your head. Because you cannot say that I like compliment, but I do not mind criticism at all. So when you're affected by when you're affected by compliment so much, a little bit of course, but too much, and then and you cannot remain in the balance, then I think the criticism also affects you very badly. That is why the Shantideva said, that if people are criticizing you, don't feel bad, because there are many other people who are complimenting you. And if people are complimenting you, don't feel proud, because there are many other people who are criticizing you. So remain in a sort of the balance, sort of the middle part. So that is I generally believe that, when you are in the, that is one thing. When you are in your good times, if you do meditation and practice, I think you will never get lost. And the second thing I will say is, in the meditation, as I said earlier, I think there are different types of meditation. For example, if you had just done if we just do the calming, abiding meditation, maybe that will help, but I cannot see really how it can go deeper into understanding our daily life. But if you can do the meditation on, for example, the reflection in the mirror meditation, and if you can understand that everything in our life, which looks so, whether it is our definition of happiness, whether it is a definition of success, which automatically leads to definition of failure, are something that is very relative, very conditional. Then if we can understand it is such a relative, such a conditional way, we can also understand the pain that we get, the joy we get from success. Of course, we should be successful, joy, but also the pain also is very much a conditional thing and not inherently existing. So every time you are able to, so I think that, so we will never lose the confidence that, that my pain, my happiness, my success comes from my mind, or especially from my conceptual mind. So through the meditation, when I can, understand the how conceptual things, how inherent not existing are there, I will be able to understand my pain to kind of, get over with, I think that confidence will never be lost, from my point of view. But the most practical thing I will tell, and this is a little bit, deeper and understanding, but most practical is that when you are in a situation where you can't, then best is to seek the company of others who are doing meditation. That will help a lot, that's for sure. That is why Buddha have this, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, the support of the other practitioner. That will definitely inspire you, encourage. If you want immediate result, that will definitely help. But will that be a long term? I don't think so, because, so long term is, I think the meditation has to become, more deeper, and that's what I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Somebody else? Any more questions? Any more from out there?
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. I'm practicing meditation on my own, and I find it quite easy at the moment to concentrate and to still my mind. But the question I had was about the second point. How do you observe your mind? Because I didn't get this concept well.
How do you look at yourself?
No, the second point, the second method that you mentioned about
Yes.
observing your mind.
Second method I mentioned was, for example, when I talked about, the happiness and satisfaction. Second method is actually about analyzing your life and your emotions. For example, you need to ask yourself, what is happiness? What is this feeling of happiness? Does it come from a sense of satisfaction? Is it true that, happiness comes from sense of satisfaction? And then, and if that is true, how do I, get satisfaction? Is it from outside? Then you can reflect, For example, I'm sure in our whatever life, whether we're 20, 30 years old, we have done that. Whether it's chasing after a cup of coffee, or a cup of nice weather, or a great party, or whatever, we have gone through that. It has given us certain joy for a certain short period of time, and then we want something else. We have so we have done that. So we have to relate our life experience, and then go back into the question is again is satisfaction the key? Is satisfaction the happiness or not? And does appreciation bring me the satisfaction or not? You go back. Then the second step meditation is when you talk about change. For example, when we do this meditation, I do not know whether it's written in the book, but we actually recite in our mind. That, for example, one of the simple things we recite is that whatever happened yesterday is today's dream. Whatever I'm experiencing today is tomorrow's dream.
You do say it in the book.
Yes, it's said in that. So we remind ourselves of the dream-like nature. So today you're having a great time. That's great. But tomorrow it will be a memory. There's no point holding on to it. Today we are going through a bit of pain, but tomorrow it will be a memory if you can just let it go and not hold on to it. So that, again, we are talking about how emotional reaction, we are changing our emotional reactions, perceptions, right? And then third meditation, when you talk about, first you forget about the labeling, and then you remember them as a human being who wants happiness and do not want suffering the way I do, and then ask, how do I interact with them? Then you get a clear image of, how you will be perceived by others, right? And at the same time, when you understand other people as not as a husband, wife, British, rich, poor, but just simply as a human being who wants happiness and do not want suffering, you kind of get idea why they do the things they do. You understand them. You might not agree with them, you might think it is not the right way, it's a foolish way, they will get hurt, but you at least know, you kind of empathize with them. You kind of sense and empathize. And then the third, the mirror-like meditation, everything is like a reflection in the mirror. And then that kind of breaks down our idea of that we have right now, saying that, what is successful, what is not successful, who is beautiful, not beautiful. So, because when you have a very strong idea of, let's say, success, and then a strong sense of failure is also inevitable if we are not able to reach that, reach that idea of success. And even if you're able to reach that, again, your idea of success might change, So we are kind of, caught in a, kind of the wheel where there's no really getting out of it, So the other meditations are mostly about, why is it that I changed my definition of happiness? What is happiness? What is the pain? What is suffering? So by these understanding, you are trying to understand how the mind works. And if I just bring it back, ultimately it is to realize that happiness and sadness and suffering is very much in our mind, created by the mind. That's why we say, that life and dream is the same. Because in the dream, until you get up, it is very real to you. It is very real, pain is real, joy is real. And in the life also, as long as we believe it is a real. As long as the British believe that, clapping is a compliment, it is real for them, And the opposite for the Tibetan, So isn't it like, even our life also, when we say somebody, oh, you are my husband, you are my wife, they are. When you say you are not, now X, they are not, So that's why we say, the dream and life is very, very similar. So this is how it, works.
Thank you.
There was somebody over here. This may have to be the last question because we only have 5 minutes left. Was there somebody over on that side? Yes.
Your Eminence, thank you for tonight. It's been quite inspirational. I was going to ask you a question about Tiger Woods. They always talk about his presence on the golf course and how he meditates when he's, surrounded by thousands of people and so on. Do you have any thoughts on that and what he's actually doing? Because I'd like, some help.
You'd like to be champion.
Actually, like the way that meditation has now been, used for anti-stress. And I mean, if you read the Buddhist teaching, Buddha never said, do meditation is good for your stress, He said do meditation so that you can understand your mind, still your mind. But it can be utilized, I mean, it's like, it can be utilized for anything. I mean, there was some talk I gave in the Peru where the topic was Buddhism and business, meditation and mindfulness and business, How through the mindfulness meditation we can become a better businessman. So of course, I mean, once you have the awareness and you are not distracted by, I remember this, like in the golf also they say that if certain event happen, that you are off game, right? Because of, certain event is influencing your emotion, you're upset. So when your mind is able to forget the past, forget the future, bring your mind to the present, whatever past is gone, future has not yet happened, present is what matters, and then you're able to play golf. I can imagine that, you can become a good golfer, And, and there's one businessman in Singapore who said that he has a jewelry business and he's successful business. He said that his business philosophy is based on something called Heart Sutra, which actually says that, there is no, Heart Sutra is actually very contradictory. I couldn't understand for many years because Heart Sutra says, there is no body, there is no sound, there is no good, no bad, no business, I guess, no nothing, there is nothing. Why? Because everything exists conditionally, like the reflection in the mirror, conditionally it exists. So when I thought a lot about it, and I thought in a way he's very smart, the businessman, because he understands that success is a conditional. Every second you need to know that what is the, well, you know, your success is affected by what is happening around the world, what is changing around the world every moment. So if you understand that business is success, not something that is final. What works 10 years will work now, but you know it is something that is constantly changing, and you're able to adapt to it without, you know, saying that, you know, I have been doing my business for the past 20 years, I am not going to change my style, you know. If you can let, you know, become kind of open, spaciousness, I can understand how flexible he might be with the new ideas, you know. Like we have some boss who are very open to ideas, some boss say no, you know. We have been doing this for the past 50 years and we have been, it's okay, we are doing okay. We do not like changes here. You know? So I can understand that. So I think they are, and I guess, you know, utilizing the Dhamma for, you know, some other purposes. But as long as it's not harmful, I'm not saying it's bad, you know. Why not? I'm sure Buddha will be happy, you know.
So I'm just going to try and encapsulate what you're saying for the purpose of the last question. So do you think that Tiger Woods, in the moment before he hits the ball, has a restful mind?
I don't know, but I'll probably say he has a
Or is aiming for a restful mind.
Yes, I will say if he is doing the meditation, then yes, I think he has to. Meditation has to bring him to the present moment and restful, yes, I will say. But probably after his, you know, golf is there, after it goes into the, I don't know, the hole, I think he's very restless, you know. Even if it goes and doesn't go.
Yes. I think you're probably right. Yes. Well, I think we have to let you go and sign some books now. So I'd just like to say a profound thank you
for
coming to London and for talking to us on behalf of everybody. And I wish you all success in the development of your restful minds. Thank you, Your Eminence.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for the British clap, not the Tibetan one.
Your Eminence, thank you for a wonderful talk, an inspiring talk, which I know everyone here has really enjoyed and really taking a lot from. And thank you for sharing the Q&A with such humour and grace. And you both spoke about gratitude, and again, just as you enjoy the British clap so much, I think we'd like to show you both our gratitude in a very British way. So, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, the book signing is over to my right, and in the room beyond, there are some light refreshments. So again, thank you so much for coming this evening. Please stay and enjoy the refreshments and the book signing with us. Thank you.